Alrighty everybody, Texas Stroke here, Lance's Performance Shop, Mopars.com. We got the dash, the plastic sub dash as I call it, here on the tailgate. I had it over the metal frame that we've painted and reassembled. That said, there were some issues. Notably, you can see the crack right there. I've kind of done some filing on this top side. Gonna attempt to fill that with some JB Weld, and that's what I kind of had to wait on. Over here there's a pretty good crack, not on the mounting tab, but actually just this section here sort of tracing towards the parking brake. And then on this flip side we've got what I believe is the final issue, just that tab right there. You can kind of see the crack coming off. It's fine in this area, which would mirror the parking brake. Another issue, we've got a tab and no tab. That thing broke. The glove box is floppy. This happened well before the extraction. This happened early on in life. In fact, it was the first issue I had with the dash. Yes, and it in fact preceded cracks across the top. But nonetheless, I think I'm going to rig up a bracket for that. I've got a series of clamps, so you got to realize this plastic is super frail and super lightweight. We can't come in and hang like a 10-inch pair of vice grips off of it. So I've got some small, like 2-3 inch welding clamps there. Also, something that I might be more likely to use are these little test kit electronic pieces. I think we could do pretty good with those. I've got a board in case I want to back it. I've got some masking tape over there with my files. Let's see here, I've got some cardboard in case I want to reinforce that. These are just plastic razor blades. I've got like a sleeve with hundreds of them, so I can use it as a mixing tool or backing plate, strengthening, whatever we ultimately decide to do. But let me grab the JB Weld. Alright, so this is what I ordered in and got it from AutoZone. Had to spend $35 to get next day delivery. Ordered it Friday, got it Saturday, so can't complain too much there. Issue is I was super busy this weekend, and we went from like back-to-back record-breaking heat days on Friday and Saturday where we were near 100 degrees to a cold front coming through, and it's currently like 50. So we dropped about 50 degrees just like that. This one though, the reason I didn't go with a plastic welder, it terrifies me on this dash. You know, if this was like a grill for an old car, it wouldn't be an issue, but the coloring, I couldn't seem to find a solution to get a tan color, let alone a color match, just have something remotely close, i.e. not black. And all the videos I watched, there were some people that said they were pretty good at it. It looked like garbage. And I'm thinking this might be our better option at this point in time. I technically don't have to do this. You know, everything would get back together, it would sort of strengthen itself with the metal frame and all the components reattached. But we've gone to this great length so far, we just as well continue it if we can. I want to say this was like, you can probably find it cheaper, you know, $7.99. I might have paid $8.99 at AutoZone, but it is what it is. They claim it sets in 15, you can sand in 30. Key thing, it dries tan. So this is their plastic bonder that dries tan. Again, I got it from AutoZone. But we're going to go ahead and go to town here. I would have preferred to do this when it was super hot this weekend, but I just didn't have the time. So we'll see what happens. I might do this one last, just so I can play around with those, even though they're visible. But, the issue is, like, to hit this, I would typically like to stand the dash on its side. However, if I do that, I'm afraid it's going to put too much weight on it and crack the tabs on the other. It's super awkward, basically. This is why I like metal. I don't like plastic. Metal, you don't have these issues with it, but we're gonna see what we can do, and we will just take it from there. So wish me luck, and hopefully I can show you something cool when we come back and fully endorse that. Alright, so here we are probably 30 minutes or so later, and I've basically decided just to case this stuff on and sand it off. It's kind of difficult to get to it here, and the biggest issue is it's just the inaccessibility, and then like the lack of points to mount to or clamp to, or you know, just create a good bond, if you will. So right here, this was a crack I think I forgot to point out, but it makes sense it would be there since that pin broke. Just gopped it on the top right there. Again, the inside though, you can't really see too great, but we got it caked pretty good. This was the most difficult thing. If you had 15 minutes just to sit here and hold it, it would probably be great, but I mean, with the contour of the dash, I went out, I even grabbed like my quick clamps and everything. There's really nothing good I could come up with to hold that in place like I wanted it to. So enter the cable tie. And we got, I think, 3 of the small ones there kind of holding that together. And then coming this way, did the same thing here. Got a bigger cable tie, just had to use one in that case, kind of keep it in place. This, I think, might actually turn out the best. Again, no accessibility at all to the inside, at least I wanted to mess with, but we might have a decent patch there. And then coming in over here, this is very visible. That's not like the mounting tab. It's kind of hidden like this. Where the crack was, that's actually visible, and I would see it all the time, and I would know it was there, so it would bother me. Did minimalistic stuff here on the cleanup, tried to file very, very lightly in the crack, and then coming in on the back side, it is caked with JB Weld. So hopefully those will set up. Again, I'm going to give it a lot of time, possibly overnight. My biggest issue is just I've got the wired up painted dash frame sitting outside because space is at a premium, and it usually sits here on the tailgate, so gonna have to figure that out. But I would rather prioritize this. I think I could probably wipe this and save myself the sanding. I may go ahead and do that. Just some glass cleaner tends to clean it up pretty good before it gets super tacky. Use the masking tape, which would not at all adhere to anything on this dash, to thread the holes and kind of get the big glob out over there. That's about it for now. This, I'm debating fixing that when it's in the truck, just so I've got more rigidity, everything's bolted in place. I'm also not sure if I want to leave what's left of this tab, try to reform it, or just break it off and just go with like a sheet metal deal that would bolt up. That's all still up in the air, but that is where we stand, and all I can tell you is to keep your fingers crossed, because I really, really hope that this stuff works, so we shall see. Alright, you can see down below I've got the dash in here. That pings me to set it down like that, not on its padded, carpeted tailgate of choice, but I think I'll get the sawhorses moved, slide it up farther up in the shop. But we've got this thing sitting here. I've done a tool haul, opened up those Z hexanamic screwdrivers that people convinced me to buy, even though I didn't technically need. I don't blame any of you. So what we have here is not pretty, but I'm going to tell you, this stuff, I would say it's set. I'm going to leave it a long time. I don't even care that I have to sand on it. That doesn't bother me. It seems to have set. It seems to have solved my problem. So there we are on that one. This one will really tell you the story of the tape. You know, the crack is right there. You can, yes, still technically kind of see the crack, but then again, you've got this, which was a part line, so it looks similar to it. But used to, when I grabbed this, you know, it would flex out from the cracked portion. Now, if you pay attention like to the parking brake release, the whole dash is moving. That means the JB Weld worked, and that's all I could ask for. So again, that's why I was just globbing it on. I was thinking it was headed in the direction that it was going to be a product that prevailed for me, and that seems to be ringing true now that it's actually set. Case in point right here, again, the bottom side of this one is actually caked really good. This was just sort of overage that I didn't care about. Look at that. The whole dash is moving. We're not just severed right there like we were, but like this whole side moves now. So that's what we wanted. Then this one that was probably the toughest to clamp up, get rigged up in that manner. Check it out. If I come in and I grab this, the whole dash is going. So hallelujah, the JB Weld worked. Thank you for your thoughts, prayers, crossing your fingers, whatever you did. This seems to be my solution right here. Again, it's a little messy on some surfaces. Granted, no one would really see any of this, but I will clean it up and prep it just again because we've wasted so much time on this project. But that is great to know. That is awesome. All we really lack is this little pin here. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might mic this before I go in tonight and see if I can maybe order something. I gotta place an order at work tomorrow, and if I get like all thread or just a bolt or something of that size, I might do that. So we shall see. But letting this thing set up overnight, I think, is going to be really good for it. It should warm up a little bit back into the 70s and 80s tomorrow, so that'll even be better. But for all intents and purposes right now, I think it's good. So super stoked about that. Again, JB Weld, $8.99, absolutely worth it. No complaints so far. We'll see how well it cleans up. Now it does dry tan, just like they said. I mean, this looks pretty much spot on to the label. In fact, if I grab that for you, Like, it's not very far off from that. I wouldn't complain if that's what I was going for. Does it match the dash of the truck? No, not at all. But would I prefer that over black or red? Absolutely. So, and again, like I said, we'll clean that up. If I wanted to spray this, if you wanted to spray yours, you could pick up like some SEM trim paint. Like, let's say it was in a visible area, like your cup holder just cracked, or the glove box itself. Use that, prep it, maybe texture it a little bit, hit it with the SEM trim paint, and you're good to go. This stuff no one really sees, but I'm just going to clean it up and go to the nth degree anyway. So, pretty happy. Pretty good Monday night, I must say. So I'm gonna quit rambling, get the dash moved, get inside. I'm starving. Guess I'll make pizza or something quick. And I hope you've had as good of a Monday as I have here with this part of the Ram Revival. Alright, so Tuesday, back from work, got out here as quick as I could, and I tell you what, it's done an even better job. Again, you can see the crack right underneath the thumbnail there. Whole dash is going. This thing is about as solid as it probably was when it was made, maybe a little bit better. Here I came in, obviously we've hit it, we sanded it just a little bit. Again, I globbed it on here because I was sort of like a crack in a critical position in my opinion. I'll get the shop vac out, clean that up, and then coming in, I actually didn't check this one yet today, so this one seems to actually be really solid. I'm pretty happy with that. It was about to break off completely. Funny thing is, the top one completely mint, zero issues, no cracks, you know, along the mating surface, no cracks emanating from where the screw would pass through. This one was just splintered, a tale of two cities, if you will. But right here at work today, I had my fasteners, you know, always the inventory in order, Tuesdays for Wednesdays every other week. So what I went ahead and did, I took some measurements last night. This is, I think we could run 3/8 if we really wanted to. I kind of feel like that's overkill. And I'm not quite sure what I'll wind up doing, but essentially I bought 5/16 rod, you know, so dash 18, picked up 6 lock nuts as well. I don't know that a bolt would clear, but I feel like a nut would for sure. And then if that's an issue, I picked up some, they didn't have any pins for some reason. So I went ahead, I just ordered some 5/16 smooth rod as well. I don't know, I may opt to leave the plastic and then deal with it later. You know, like when it finally does crack all the way or something. But for the time being, I've got that coming because this side over here we need to take care of it. Last night I went ahead, I looked at the glove box, sort of on the back side. This gap is about 1 3/4 inches or so for this little pin gap here across the 2 landing tabs. I've got some brackets in mind. I'm just not quite 100% sure how I'm going to do it. I'm going to have that stuff tomorrow. I can mess around with it Wednesday night, I guess. But this right here, pretty solid. That could actually be a little bit better, I guess. Probably needs to be reinforced from the back, truth be told. That said, what I want to do is get this thing flipped and mounted to the dash after I shop vac everything. This is here for the Rotary Tools Harbor Freight Sand Extravaganza thing that doesn't seem to work quite like the brand name ones, but whatever. So we will probably figure this out once it's back on the metal frame and I've got the parts. I'm going to try to clean up some of this like drink spill. Note the driver's side pretty clean, and the passenger side where the girlfriend sits always spills stuff, so, you know. But, gonna go ahead and get the metal frame onto the tailgate, delicately as best I can, move all of this off the tailgate, put this back over the metal frame, hopefully not cracking anything or having new cracks or old cracks or any cracks. And if that goes together good, we'll probably start going to town in terms of reassembly here. So pretty excited about that. And again, we'll keep you posted on this because I think I would like to fix it with the metal back there and see how that goes. So next time you see this, we ought to have it somewhat back together. So stay tuned for that. Alright, so again, that I will clean up later, but it is holding beautifully is the main thing. I don't care what it looks like. In fact, I think it's covered up. But we can sand it later. I just want to leave it intact as best I can. I've got the door cracked, get some fresh air in here, but check it out. we are back. Everything seems to have held. Even down here is in pretty good shape. Up here everything's intact, and that side over there we took the cable tie off, by the way. But our other crack right there, check it out. You can just, if I didn't even tell you that was there, you would have no idea. You would assume this is the crack. And again, that's just the parting line around kind of the mold. But very, very happy with the JB Weld. It's somewhere back in here, right there. Once again, gotta give credit where credit is due, and it's not focusing. But JB Weld plastic bonder tan. So, is it a color match? Absolutely not. But at this point in time, I could care less. So, what I'm going to do now is come in, shoot some screws through this thing, and I'll have it kind of intact. I can start putting the ducts back together and add a little bit of stability and rigidity to it. Get it cleaned up and prep it for installation. So still quite a bit of reassembly to go, but I'm ecstatic about the way the JB Weld is held up. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and we will see what she looks like a little bit more solid. Alright, coming along quite nicely here. We can see definitely made use of my notes here. This is one I've held in for reasons you'll see in a second. But coming through, everything going back together. The only real issue, I don't know if it's a duct or if something got bent all the multiple times I like move the frame around to paint it and flip it and everything. I think I can get that back in place. It's kind of a deal if I articulate the duct back there, it'll sort of wedge in. But let me try and showcase this. I'm going to put the camera strap on, and this is why you get nice screwdrivers, all right? There's obviously a ton of them, and this is super awkward one-handed, but I want to show you something. This little guy right here, this Wiha Micro Finish, it's been my main screwdriver this entire job for the dash. You can see it's wearing the black off of the screws, right? It's turned pretty much everything. I use a little philo for a little bit to kind of get a feel for it, but watch this. We're going to take the screw, this is not magnetic, and we can just turn it upside down, and I can hold it there and spot the hole and not drop the screw. I mean, one hand is holding the camera, right, and the other hand is on the screwdriver. And this is after, I don't know, probably what, at least 200-300 screws, right? And for the tip to hold up that well is just insane. So super happy with these things. I'm going to try to get this thing ironed out. That's my behind the cluster one. And there was one, let's see here. This, I think the crack started to spread a little lower now, probably just in moving the dash to the duster and then back to the tailgate to set down. I may hit that with some JB Weld, and then also underneath this screw it was cracked a little bit. I think that was there, I just didn't see it because it blends. It's one of those things, if it's in a perfect position it looks mint, and then if it's flexed a little bit you're like, oh, that's cracking. And then over here, one of these was the same way. I think this one on the edge is kind of cracking. Again, with the door cracked, we get natural light and shop light, and you don't see very well. But bottom line, it's coming together. This is going to be a little bit more rigid. I'll be able to flip this, start putting the ducts back together, which I've got them way up over there on the other side of the shop. But yeah, if I get to a stopping point tonight, I might just hit a little bit more JB Weld over these areas. Again, I'm not too concerned about the aesthetics. That's all going to be covered up, you know. And what's visible, then we can clean up at a later date and time. So it is a lot warmer today. It's not windy. It's like 80 degrees, no wind, which is super rare for here, the no wind part. So ideal setup conditions, if you will, even sitting overnight. So I'm going to get back to work here. I'm pretty happy with how things are going. Just have to get this squared away here, which you can see the screw, I mean the hole where it's threaded, but I'll figure something out. Hit the wiring, maybe do the ducts, and see where we're at.